computer. All right. So let's talk about a plan for this real quick, and then we can roll into it.
Perfect.
I will say this. I'm running off of maybe 4 hours of sleep. Um, I stayed at work last night and they had an event. And so I was kind of helping with we're down a couple people with our events and I had to do it. So I was at work yesterday from 7:30 until 11, I think, or something like that.
But were you really there to make sure that nobody left their bra and panties and
Yes,
pretty
yes, I was
washcloth?
making sure that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But I was also, I was kind of just hanging out. So it was a lot
Yeah.
of fun and it was, oh my gosh, the outfits and the everything. Oh my God. It was like, I want to go. I'm thinking about going back tonight because it's a 2-day thing, once a
Oh
month,
wow.
2 days, and bringing Chase and just
Yeah.
letting her, because she'll be with me, and
Yeah.
it's 21 and over, but she's mature enough. So
Yeah.
I just wanted her to see the culture and everything because it's like, I didn't even take pictures. I was just like soaking it all in. I freaking
Yep.
loved every second of it, just every
That's
second of
awesome.
it. There was women, and it's mostly Black women and Black men that are at this event, and but there's like a couple white people peppered in and some
Right.
Hispanic, Asian stuff like that. But it's mostly an African American kind of deal.
Right.
And these and some of the women are wearing like a spaghetti string like thong
Wow.
and then a sheer dress. And oh my God, like I'm like,
Wow.
this is amazing.
So you basically had your own private porn show.
No, but it wasn't even about being able to see stuff. It was about just their confidence and just whatever, and it was all body shapes and sizes.
I got you.
Like
I
all
got
of
you.
that. And I was like, and I even went and I was like, I scraped together some money because I was there. And then I was like, it was hot outside. And then I was like, well, I was wearing like skinny jeans and I'm like, I'm going to be sweating my butt off. So I ran down to my favorite store, Torrid. So there's your plug for Torrid. Um, and I found this cute little jumper that's like, it almost looked like a mechanic's like coveralls, but they were shorts and short sleeve. Right. It's so cute. And I got a little tank top to put underneath it. And I was just walking around in that. I mean, I look cute, but like, I didn't look 21 cute, there's no way. And nor did I want to.
Right.
I was like, man, like, I never had that type of confidence, with my body and stuff like that. And I just love that shit. Like, I love it when people are just feeling themselves, and just going out there and doing stuff like that. So it was really cool to see.
Well, but here's what I love about this, and this is why we start recording as soon as we hop on the call, and people are going to hear this in terms of like, this was kind of our planning, but now it's just turning into something. And here's why, because I don't know if you remember, but when you were here last week, everybody, Jane and I were physically present in each other's space last week. We'll talk about that. But I don't know if you remember, in one of our random talks during which we were like, why aren't we recording? We're just going to press record every time we start talking to each other. But one of the things we got into this whole thing about women and all of the tiny little like micro movements right now to squash the female voice, squash the female presence, squash the female choice making. And I mentioned to you that I saw on this really radical like Twitter feed the 4 indicators of if you're not, to know that you're not modestly dressed, right?
Oh, Jesus
so
Christ.
I feel like if I looked those up right now, we would find that we were breaking all the modesty.
Oh, totally. Of the social norm. Like, this is what
I love it.
Like, yeah.
Right? Yeah. I love it so much. And I really love that you, because I made the crack about porn, and I love that you shifted that and said, no, it was about confidence. I love that so much. This idea that I'm so confident in my own skin that I can wear whatever I want, that makes me feel the way I want to feel. And,
in the moment,
deal with it.
Yeah. And I know some of these women and men. I mean, some of the men were, I mean, I just love the fashion sense or lack of fashion sense and their own thing. I mean, I want to go back today just for a couple hours just to take some cool pictures, and stuff like that, because I just didn't. I just soaked it all in. And it was crazy. It was just so cool to see all the different things, and it's just the fun and the creativity and stuff like that. That's what I really enjoyed.
Well, and one of the I can't remember. Joe and I were watching something the other day and it had ads in it, Yellowstone, I think, because it's on Peacock and it has ads. But Meta is doing a lot of ads right now, and their tagline is I can't remember the actual tagline, but essentially the message behind it is like the world according to you. So it's like this hodgepodge of like all these people working on a project, for example, from all over the world, like people don't know who don't even know each other, and like some of it's fashion, like at the end
Right.
of it, like this pro football or basketball player who's walking to some big event in a suit with like a net as a part of the
I
suit, the
love it.
basketball net, right?
I love
But
it.
it's that idea that like we're getting connected in so many different, and Joe was having a really hard time understanding. He's like, what the hell are these ads trying to say? I was like, that we're all just out there living our own life, but social media creates a space where we can see it. We can see
Right.
all the creativity, all the different ways, and that it's driving this idea that there's not any one way, right? That
Right.
there's not one look, if you will,
Right.
which is incredibly powerful.
Right. And I agree with that because, before the internet and before media, like, I mean, even before like the 60s and stuff, when we were finding about, watching the Vietnam War on TV and like footage and stuff like that, you didn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
You just assumed, or it was information coming from a letter from along the way,
Yeah.
and what the internet has done for us is made us so much more aware of different cultures and able to appreciate them in a different way and be able to see it like in the moment on live streams and all of those things. And it feels like, I feel like the not society but the government and the controllings and stuff like that is like wanting to take back that, because we know too much and we love too much, or we are intertwined too much, and no, don't do that and stuff like that. And that's where that evilness comes from. So like with this event that I went to, and it's called Everyday People,
Mm-hmm.
and they do it once a month at the Beehive. It brings all of those people together to just have a good fucking time and
Right.
listen to good music. And the DJ was kind of last night. Like we were like, he's questionable, but it was still a great time, and everybody dancing and the vibe, and you could just see the whole crowd moving together, and it was like
Oh,
the
wow.
coolest fucking thing. And it was everybody from everywhere, and it was just everyday people, and
Yeah.
that's what the coolest part about it is. And that's why I want to bring Chase to have like a little bit of a back back entrance kind of view of what that urban culture is, and stuff like that, because she doesn't know, and
That's right.
I mean, she knows a little bit. She knows what she's been fed through social media and stuff, but I want her to
Of
be
course.
and ground zero and like watch this stuff. This is awesome.
Well, move beyond what she's been told or what she sees on social media to
Right.
creating her own experiences, right? Like
Right.
watching people have their experiences, and then, excuse me, and then her being able to create her own. I think those are, that's powerful, right? In terms of building a culture. And it's interesting because your comment about like, the powers that be, if you will, maybe feeling like we have too much information. And I do think it's interesting, and it's something we can dig into next season. I do think it's interesting that like we definitely feel that, right? Like that drive to filter information, change information, etc. But I do also think that it really falls along political lines. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? Like there's a lot of, I think there's some places that we come together, for example, like, okay, what's the responsibility social media platforms and companies have around the kinds of information that are shared? For example, I think there's a common or a shared concern around those kinds of things. And we're seeing that a lot in, terms of what are going to be the boundaries, if you will, of AI as we move forward. But in terms of what you're talking about, I feel like you see so much of that fall along party lines, because it's almost like there's a one viewpoint that would suggest the more information, the better, like let
Right.
people see. And I actually think that you see that on both sides of the aisle, so to speak. But there is some limitation. Like I feel like there's, there are definitely some folks who are like, no, let us tell you what books you should
Right.
read. Let us tell
Right.
you
Well,
what
it's
should,
because
I mean?
they're gonna filter it through their own bias, and that's
That's
where
right.
we as individuals need to say like, okay, great, that's great information, and I love that, but I'm gonna go do my own research. But so
Right.
many of us just take that word and go and run with it.
Yeah.
Think about everything that your parents told you when you were growing up.
Oh
As
yeah.
children, we believe it, right?
Exactly.
And not until do we get out in the real world do we realize they were full of shit. Like,
That's right.
because again, it was through their own experiences. And
Exactly.
we as humans need to really just rethink that and go, look, I can take that advice from my parents or from my instructors or whatever, but until I actually go through it, I'm really not going to know how it truly affects me.
Yeah.
So why should I bring their bias with me? And again, this goes all the way back to the very beginning of working through our own trash.
Right.
It really does, because everything that we have in our head as a young adult is really based off of what our parents, family, and close friends have told us, teachers,
Yeah,
instructors.
of course.
Because beyond that, you really don't have a social life. You don't, beyond that bubble. So
Right.
once you get out in that real world, whether you're going to college or trade school or whatever it is, and you start learning from people that are out of your inner circle, that's when you start really learning and building your own biases and headspace for all of those things. So, if I believed everything my mother said, which I did for a long time,
Right.
man, I was so ignorant to so many things because of my mother,
Yeah.
and so and my stepfather for that matter. So yeah, it's all about learning for yourself. And that's why I love the internet. And with all good, it comes bad. And you just have to make sure that you're mediating that. But
Well, and you're setting us up right for this episode. So, hi everybody. You
yeah.
are here. Let's do our intro. Go ahead.
Oh, you're listening to Dumpster Diving with
Janice. Oh my God, we are out of practice.
what? We haven't done it in so many times, in so many weeks.
It's been a month at least. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I've been smoking this morning.
Okay, I blame you. Start over. Do it again. I do it though. You do it. You do it. You do it.
You're listening to Dumpster Diving with
Janice.
and Jane.
I haven't even been drinking, and I screwed that one up. I have to own it. That was
we're a little rusty. It's been a couple of weeks, but we're getting back into the swing of things.
But we're good. We're good. And what this, you guys, we are. You heard me say already in the top of this episode that Jane and I were together last week. Finally, her and her girls came down, and we spent a few days together over the holiday, July 4th holiday, which was amazing.
Yes,
we did not record at all while we were together.
we didn't.
Like we said we were going to, but I think honestly, as I reflected back on it, Jane, after you guys took off, that's in large part because literally it was the second time we have physically been together. And so,
yes. No. You guys came up here. You and Joe came up here third time.
Third time.
Don't forget about your little visit.
Okay, my little visit. We forgot. So it's only the third time we have spent time together in person. So I'm glad that we kind of set it aside. Not that we set the podcast aside, because God knows, like I said, every time I turned around, we were like, why are we recording? But
I know.
But today, this episode really, you guys, is about wrapping up season 1 and looking ahead and sharing some of our ideas, some things that you can expect from us for season 2. So like what I have in front of me right now, Jane, is a list of our episodes from season 1.
Yeah.
And I thought that maybe we could just kind of go, take a little bit of walk back through history, so to speak, of those. Not that we're going to go through every one of them, because we're not, because that's what people are going to do between now and the start of season 2.
We want you to go listen and share and like and download and all those things. That's what we would like.
Do all the things. So we're going to spotlight. So maybe what we can do is think about it in terms of like the intro. Let's remind people where we come from. And you and I were really reminded about how important that story is to this podcast just over that time we were together, because we had a little get together at my house here with some neighbors and friends and stuff. And we were reminded as we talked in a small group and told people kind of the story behind the podcast of how interesting that story is in terms of how we met.
In general.
Yeah. So building that in some more next season, I think is going to be an important part, because we're trying to walk this fine line of like, obviously there's a lot of story to tell there, but not wanting it to be all about us. And, some people are going to get bored of that. So how we like kind of keep coming back to it. But we started this season there, right? With your story and my story to start off with.
Yes. And I think that in season 2, we're gonna do some special little things. We're gonna try to put out a couple more little extra episodes, maybe even weekly. We're not making any promises yet. We both have careers
and day jobs
and freaking day jobs and children and lives and social lives and stuff like that. So, but this is a huge part of our life, and this is super important, and we want to grow this. So we're going to try to do that. And but we're going to pepper in some more of the family, the Janice and Jane story, more so, and just get that in there, because people do want to know. They want to know how
Sure.
our relationship is transpiring as
Yep.
well. Like as we were having our fireside chat with our friends over the weekend, it was just really funny, and it was very intriguing. So it was a
It
good.
was. And I think too that if we are intentional about when we're going to do that, and maybe that's something like you said that's going to be once a month, we'll figure it out. But there's so many tentacles from the two of us out
Right.
in terms of this, Doxy family and all the different parts and pieces. Um, so we're going to explore that more. And so for
Yeah.
those of you who are for some reason listening for the first time, I don't know why, but it's
But
possible
we're
that
happy you're here. But we're
you're
happy you're
exactly.
here. Yes.
Well, we're happy we're here. And as I look at our, Buzzsprout thing, I'm like, well, yeah, because like our last episode had 44 downloads. So yeah, there are a lot of people who are listening for the first time. We want you. We need you. But we want you to go all the way back to the first couple of episodes. In fact, the first three really lay the foundation. The first one is like how Jane and I connected. And then and by connected, I mean we're introduced to each other as sisters who never knew each other because we share a father.
Right.
Um, and then the two episodes right after that are kind of digging into Jane's dumpster initially, and then digging into my dumpster initially. And our stories are I don't want to even call them unusual because I think lots of people have their own dumpsters and their own shit, but our version of our story, right, is absolutely unique. And you're going to probably see very quickly after those first three episodes why we connected so strongly, because there's so much, even though we grew up completely separate and absent of knowledge of each other, there's so much similarity to our stories. So definitely go look at the first three. As you're looking down the list, Jane, where would you send them in terms of a couple that you want to make sure they go take a look at?
Oh boy. Yeah, I was just looking at the list. A couple of them I found pretty hilarious, and only because we're just
Oh yeah.
silly as along the way as well. So the goals one was pretty funny, talking about goals and stuff like that. Um, the and definitely if you want a couple goodies, hop on the JP Reynolds guest speaker
Yes.
ones. I mean, the six trashy lies we tell ourselves, that's episode oh shoot, what episode is that? They're not numbered, but it's
Well,
the
episode
six
7
trashy
is the
lies.
first time we had JP. We had
Yeah,
him.
that's the first time. And then the second time, habits of confident individuals. That was another really great
Oh,
one.
so good.
I actually, that one in particular, I have one of my life coach clients, and without displaying what we're coaching on, I suggested that he go listen to that episode, and he texted me after he listened to it, and he was like, I freaking love that one. Thank you so much. It helped me. And he went and bought the Atomic Habits
Oh,
and
nice.
started reading that
Yay.
because you had mentioned that as
It's
well.
so good.
Yeah, and then he said just the conversation between the three of us about confidence and the points that I brought up, and then JP's things, and he was just like, it was really cool. And so now he's already implementing some of those things into his daily habits. Yeah, and so I'm using our platform as tools. Okay, go listen to this episode. We talked about this,
Oh my
and
gosh, I
and
love that
people
so
are
much.
loving it. They're loving it. So
Yeah.
I would definitely say if you struggle with confidence in any way, shape, or form, because it's
Yeah.
not just confidence in general. We have confidence in different levels in different parts of our life, depending on
Amen.
the role that we're in at that time.
Yep.
And that's another one that I really, next season, I would like to focus in on empowerment a little bit, in the aspect of, because I had a really great conversation with one of my very good friends the other day, and we were kind of unwinding after work and just kind of sitting in the car with the AC on. It was hot, and we were just talking because it was a really rough day. And I brought up talking about your self value and how that affects how you react and respond to different situations in your world, and where you're at that time, and depending on what the topic is.
Yeah.
So I walked my friend through a quick exercise, and she was like, damn, Jane, that was deep. And I was like, well, how is it hitting you? And she's like, no, you're right, like I'd never thought about that. And so I don't want to give it completely away.
Yeah. Don't give it
don't want to
away.
give it completely away, but we were talking about it for multiple days afterwards too, because it hit that way for her. So, and it was funny because there's three of us at work that we're just tight, you know, we're really good friends. And I repeated that same thing to the other one, and she was like, yes, you know, because we were kind of all in the same headspace. And so I just brought it up, but I needed to hear it too. And that's why my inner coach was like, hey, wake up. You need to hear this too, because I was right there with them, because we were all had been through it. And so I love when organically those types of things come up.
That's right.
And it's so like it hits hard at the same time. And so I really want to bring that up in the next and sprinkle more of that into what we're doing here, is like that really the empowerment. We talk about parenting, we talk about everything. That's because we deal with everything.
That's our life.
You know, that's our lives. And some people go, oh, you need to pick one thing. No, I'm not going to pick one thing to coach on, because I'm coaching life. And life is not just waking up and going to work and coming home and that's it. It's everything and everything in between. And so that's why I want to hone in on some of those things too, you know.
Well, I love that. And I want to lift up that idea. Like you said, there's so much pressure, especially when you think in terms of, you know, brands and content development, et cetera. There's so much pressure to, well, actually, I would say, I'd argue there's in the past, there's been a lot of pressure to niche down, right?
Sure.
But of late, what I've noticed is more guidance, if you will, along the lines of not niching down so far. And frankly, the two of us have been ignoring all of that. We're just doing our thing here.
We do what we want.
To your point, you know, I kind of like the idea that folks can come here for all aspects of life and not have to necessarily say, oh, well, I'm going to go to listen to this podcast when I want to think about this, and I'm going to go to this one, and this person over here is going to help me with this. Don't get me wrong, it's great to have a whole like group of folks who are kind of a cadre of folks who are people you turn to for expertise, etc.
Well, we have to remember biases. You know, we don't want you to just listen to us, because it's through our filters, of course. I mean, as holy as our filters are, you know, I mean, they have it's like Swiss cheese. It's not like a really tight filter, but
but we all have them.
But we all have them. And I am going to have a bias because how I was raised, you know, and I have this survival grit to me and stuff like that. But not everybody needs to have that. You know, they could admire it, or they could go, I don't like it. You're too rough around the edges. Okay.
Well, cool. But that's why I feel like from the get-go, we've been so intentional about saying we're going to be us.
Yeah.
Right? We're not here to put on a show. And that means you knowing us well enough to know what our biases are, what our filters are, and to know that you should be taking everything and then putting it through your own and then coming to your own conclusions, right? We don't expect anybody to copy and paste. God knows if you and I had copy and pasted from our childhood and lived our lives that way, we would be we
wouldn't be here.
Exactly.
We wouldn't be here.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So I think all of those, the only other one, well, I shouldn't say the only other one. Every episode we recorded is pure genius and you should listen to all of them. But I do want to lift up, if you want to go back then, I love the JP stuff that you just lifted up. If you haven't listened to our most recent one before this one on Pride Month, go listen to it. Oh my God.
Yes.
But also episode, I think it was the episode, another Doxy family episode was episode 6. And it ended up being Dina's story, who is one of our cousins. For a half a second, we thought she might be a half sibling. And then we discovered through all this 23andMe stuff.
Well, for me, she's a step sibling. No, she's a step sibling for both of us.
No, she's not.
Yes, she is. Her mom married our dad.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Okay, she is a step sibling. Okay, so that's my bad. But okay, so yes, biologically she is our cousin.
Yes,
and our step sibling.
Our step sibling. She's our sister cousin too. It's okay.
I like that. A sister cousin. Cousin sister.
We love you, Dina. We love you, Dina. This is totally just for funsies. Okay, we love you.
Oh, I think she knows. She knows. But her episode
was awesome.
Our episodes, we could not have known where it was going to go. In fact, it was started as her and our cousin only, Dylan. who,
Yes.
it's kind of boring, Dylan. You're just our cousin. But anyway,
Yeah.
we'll talk about that later.
Can you
Um,
mix that up a little bit,
I think
please?
we need something else. But it was supposed to be the two of them, and we are going to talk about the whole timeline of our father and 12 kids, etc. And it ended up turning into Dina's story, and it's really quite beautiful. And
It
so,
is.
if you haven't listened to that one, and now it gets into really nitty gritty, like there are parts of it where I couldn't follow because when I listened to it again, because it's like so many people and so many names and all that. If you lift yourself above that and you don't focus on the nitty gritty and you just focus on the thread of her
And the
story and finding
energy
her
and
father
yeah.
and the energy, etc., it's really beautiful.
And
So,
since then, to be honest, I've been kind of watching this stuff unfold on Instagram. She has gone to see our Uncle Bruce, her dad.
yep,
She's
yep,
visited him in Lake Tahoe. Her daughter is now visiting
yep.
him.
It's
They have,
beautiful.
they're celebrating Father's Day,
Yep,
back and forth and stuff like that. And I absolutely love seeing it unfold.
yeah.
And Dina has such a sweet soul.
Oh my gosh.
She I'm not I'm not on social media as much as it appears that I am.
Right.
I repost stuff to my story every day. Like there's a little energy reading that I always do and stuff like that. And yesterday I noticed I had like 17 messages. I'm like, oh, maybe I should go check that.
Ah, yeah.
Maybe there's somebody in there. But Dina had messaged me and she was like, I'm reaching out, I'm feeling your energy, blah blah blah, I'm just checking on you, whatever the message said. But it was super sweet, and I'm like, no,
I
Dina, I'm
love it.
fine, but thank you for checking on me. And it was a quick little message, and it's
That's
not
her,
to,
right?
like, but that's how much attention I have to give to those things. So I'm like, pop,
Yeah,
pop, 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 go. But it was very sweet, that she's
absolutely.
reaching out and she likes all of my posts. She's very
Yep.
attentive on all of those things. And
She
she is like our number one fan with this
she's
stuff.
our
She
freaking
really
biggest
is.
cheerleader, man. We
I
love
know. I love it. I love
we
it.
appreciate that so
So
much.
shout out to Dina. Thank
Shout
you.
out to Dina. So thank you for that. And then again later on, we did a quick little bonus episode with Dylan where he's the cousin who did the chronological like
He's the
walk
one that
through.
started all this shit.
He started all this shit, man. Blame
He
him.
started the
Blame
dumpster fire.
him. Either
But you know
blame him or
what?
thank him.
Yes, both. Yeah, you could do both. And maybe one day he'll be our tour manager. You
I
never
like it.
know.
I
But
like
and
it.
he'll be responsible for all of our flow charts of our
I like
fathers and
it. He's a tech guy.
our
There's a place.
families mischievous.
There's a place for that tech guy. I like it. I like it. So those are just a few, you guys. But we worked. Our intention this first season rather, was really just to get to know each other better.
Yes.
Was to get to know you guys a little bit. And we have, every podcast has a different trajectory, right? And Dean, not Dina, you're not Dina, you're Jane. Jane said it already. Unfortunately, this is something we're doing, outside of our careers, outside of our families, so we have to absolutely be intentional about carving out time for it. But so it's slow getting started, right? But we were
Right.
really, really just touched by every single one of you who took time to listen this year.
Yes.
And the ones that reached out to us on social media or text messages and said, oh my gosh, I just listened to this episode and I can't believe this, or I learned this, or thank you for this energy, or whatever. Like every single time, that has just been such a gift.
It really has. It really has. And just being able to have this platform, again, technology is amazing. And who knew that podcasts would be blowing up like this? And
I know.
and it makes it so easy for the average Joe or Jane or Janice to be able to have the freedom of speech, have a platform, and be able to broadcast it to everyone. And I mean, if you just remember back even when I was a kid, like you couldn't do this. You had to go on a street corner or do something majestic to get on the radio to be interviewed by a DJ, or something like that, or a TV interview or something to that mainstream media. And now we can just do it in our bathroom if we wanted to, and I mean, people do it in their bathroom. I mean,
we're not in our bathrooms, by the way.
We're not in our bathrooms. I'm in an office. She's in an office.
And we're not,
nice.
No, you're right. We have these platforms. And I will say, I have an author friend that I used to know when I was still a high school principal, and follow her on social media and stuff. She just published another book and she's really bright. Rosalind Wiseman is her name for anybody who wants to go follow her. But she posted something that really encouraged me the other day, as you and I have been thinking about how we're wrapping up this season and now planning for the next season. And she has a sister who she posted about her sister who has been doing a podcast, she said, for years. She's like, I mean, years, and just finally like got notoriety. She's on the list of like the top 10 best podcasts, one of the many lists that go out like
Oh,
that
wow.
for 2023. And so I'm going to go look her up. I haven't looked her up yet, but it just made me, it really heartened me, because I know that this journey, as much as we'd like to be touring next month,
Oh, yeah.
this journey can take a hot minute, right? For
Yep.
people to catch on and people to find us and to find their value. And so, you know, we're going to keep doing this for all the reasons that we just said we do it. And just, you know, it's our intention and our hope that more and more people are going to come along on the ride.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited for that. I want to, you know, I'm messing. Sorry.
You are messing. What is happening? Stop it.
Do you see what I did?
Yes, Jane is messing with our Zoom screen filter things. I don't know what is happening. She has us in a classroom now. Okay,
I didn't know what that was.
Jane's been smoking. So
yeah. Oh, yeah. So sorry,
I
guys.
can't
Okay,
control. I can't
listen.
control what's
Sunday
happening right
Sunday
now.
is the day for me to.
Okay, it's Sunday. Okay.
It's Sunday. Let's just. Yeah.
All
Let's just
right,
say it's
so
Sunday.
let's do a look ahead, because we knew this wasn't going to be a really long episode. Let's do a look ahead to next year now, or next season. I keep saying next year. Next season 2 is going to start. I think we said, did we say September 1? Did we say September 1, August 15? We didn't really narrow it down.
We didn't. And I think that because we have some planning to do, we're still going to be meeting, guys. It's like school, you know, the kids are out for summer and we're still working behind the scenes, but you can't hold us accountable for the next couple of weeks. So,
so freaking true, man. Yeah.
So get off our backs.
Yeah, back off. God.
Yeah. Geez. Content.
You know what? Here's
Content.
what I think we should say. And I think that this will hold us accountable, right, for our listeners.
Yes.
Why don't we say August 15th?
I like it.
That week is going to be our first. That gives us about a month from now. We already have a couple of episodes in the hopper, but that way it gives us a chance to do some of the techie things we want to do behind the scenes, to pretend like we're more professional, because we're not really, but it would be a pretense. So instead, let's go ahead and just share a couple of quick ideas, not specific episodes, but ideas that we're working on in terms of things coming next year. So for example,
yes.
next season, for example, you guys, we're going to continue our regularly scheduled programming that you've come to know and love, with some of the evolutions that Jane and I have already talked a little bit about today. But something that we're going to do really intentionally next season, and we haven't decided how many times, but we're going to pepper in a few times where we go a little bit deeper into topics that frankly will be controversial. There'll be topics where we're bringing our opinions and our positions to the table.
Yep.
And we're doing that for a couple of reasons. One is that we feel compelled. And we do not want to be people that you find on social media or on the web or on YouTube who are vanilla.
Yeah.
You know, we want to be helpful. And that's how we have structured our time this first season and the episodes this first season. But we also want to be really clear about where we stand. And so we're gonna call those fireside chats.
Yep.
So if you see a fireside chat episode come up, you can be warned ahead of time that we're probably going to say some things that piss some people off, and we're okay with that, because we also feel like we have to just show support for things that are happening in the world to people, and how we can support people who are on the receiving end of that, including ourselves. You know, there's a low-key attack on women right now and across this country. So as one example, right? So we're going to do some fireside chats. That's one thing people look forward to. What's something else you would say, Jane?
Well, and to add on to that, it's because during the first season, we were compelled to speak on some topics that have come up, and you know, Black History Month and other things too, you know, and what our sides are on. But you know, we really wanted to be we were trying to be cautious and stuff like that, but then we found ourselves not talking about things, and that's why we're like, wait a minute. We just need to be unapologetically ourselves and just talk about it, have that fireside chat, and just still be us. We can't, again, we're living life and it's unfiltered. Life is unfiltered for us. And why should we filter ourselves? There's going to be people that, like Janice said, that don't like what we have to say, and that's okay, because then we can talk about it. Tell me your view and tell me why you don't like it, because you may be changing my view.
That's right.
Maybe I've never heard that. Maybe I've never seen it from that angle. And so please, enlighten us and help us become better versions of ourselves as well. So
That's
this
right.
isn't just about us helping people become better versions of them. It's us too. This is therapy for us. This is coaching for us. This is a outlet for us to be able to vent about these things in a safe place, safe or not, but we're going to hear the feedback that we would have heard if we just said it out loud.
That's right.
And so if it can touch other people and bring a positive vibe or compel them to speak up for themselves, it took me a long time to figure out how to speak up for myself, and I'm still learning how. I mean, there's things. I read a quote the other day that said, it was something about the skills that we develop to survive are not always the ones that we need to live by. I was like, shit.
Yep.
Because I go hard. I go hard on
Yeah.
everything. And I feel like I have something to prove to everybody, but I don't need to do that anymore.
That's right.
I'm almost 44 fucking years old.
Yep.
And I've been working my ass off my whole life to get acceptance from everybody around me.
Yeah.
And I have it and I don't realize it.
Yeah.
And I was made aware of that this week because
Right.
I'm standing in the parking lot after an event crying because I'm so frustrated. And they're like, why are you going so hard?
That's right.
You don't need to. You've proven to fucking everybody here that you are a badass and you deliver and you do. And that's why you have the position that you have. Why are you still freaking bringing boxes across the campus and sweating your ass off when it's an event that you should be enjoying?
I love that.
Hello. But nobody in my life has ever stopped me and said that to me.
Yeah.
So I'm always going hard. That's how I do it. And now I'm like, okay, now I have to learn how to still go hard, but not have to do the physical work for it, but I don't want to live like that anymore. That's my survival mode. And I don't need to be in survival mode. So those are the things that we're talking about, and those real moments. And I am so, I'm not a religious person, whatever, but I feel very blessed for the people that are in my world. And that includes you, Janice, like we haven't even known each other a year.
I know. Right.
Like, and I have two very, very good friends at work that I trust them. And I haven't trusted friends like that in decades.
That feels amazing, doesn't it?
Decades. And not even the person laying next to me did I feel that trust with, over the years. And it's been decades since I felt that way. And so I feel very empowered. I feel very broken down right now though, too, And so we're all going.
It's amazing that you can be both. You can be both empowered.
I'm very burnt out, but I'm very motivated at the same time. So because I have the big S word, support.
That's it.
And that is so huge. So I appreciate you and my friends and that's the stuff we want to talk about. Those are the things that we really want to just like I feel like, I don't want to say Superman, but like when he rips open his shirt, like that's what like that. Like let's just fucking go. Let's go.
Yep. So, that's the shit then, right? Like I think that's a good enough, if you will, look ahead. Continuing the same kind of conditions, if you will, the same environment, the same way that we're approaching this this time together, and like you said, being really intentional about lifting up. I love that in those everyday moments, there are things that we find that we bring and we say, let me lift it up here for you, right? And we are very much in addition to that, the fireside chats where we're going to piss people off and take a stand. I think that I'm also really looking forward to really being more intentional about ways that we can draw in our listeners. And we're still figuring that out. Like we every once in a while we put out there and we put an email and whatever, but we know that's not what draws people in. So we're still figuring that out. So more to come on that. And hell, if you're a listener who has ideas about how we can
tell us,
do that, please, for God's sakes, reach out to us, right?
Let us be your puppets.
Exactly. The easiest way to find us right now, because we don't have a freaking website, right? Like the easiest way to find us right now would be I would say, like Jane said, on social media, right? So you can follow me at Janice M. Case on Instagram and message me there, right? If you don't already follow me and you haven't already, and that's a great way to reach out. And the same with Jane. Remind us of your handle.
Yeah, my handle is Moxy MOXY _coach COACH. And friend me. And And we do have a Instagram and Facebook page that you can follow us on. And it's what is our Instagram one?
It's
I
at
don't have it on my
dumpster.
phone. You
Hold
have
on,
it
I
on
got it.
yours.
Yeah. No, I got it. And I'm glad you said that. And it's funny because I don't think I said it up front because it's low key right now. But hey, the way to make it not low key. So it's at dumpster diving with J and J. At dumpster diving with J and J is our Instagram. So if you haven't followed us there, go follow us. And again, dumpster diving with Janice and Jane is how you can find us on Facebook, whichever
Yep.
platform you're on. Those are the places, right? If you want to get a message to us, that's probably the best way for you to reach out to us right now while we're still
Yep.
getting our shit together behind the scenes on in terms of the logistics. There have been points this season, you guys, where it was all we could do to be online together recording an episode. And so we have a lot of work to do in terms of how we show up in social media and that kind of stuff. So it's all stuff you can count on only getting better.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm also on my company. I have a Moxie coach on Facebook as well. I haven't been as active on social media, but I am now, going to be diving into that. And I do, I've been Janice. I admire your confidence, your moxie and stuff like that with all your videos and stuff like that. And they're so much fun. And I've been watching some people on TikTok and reels and stuff like that. And it's so
Good.
easy to do little videos, and I just need to get over myself and just do some. And because I do have my own, vibe
You
and
do.
I do. And
100%.
I'm not Janice, you guys. She's super cute and does like the mom stuff, and I'm
My
like a little bit
God,
more
you're
rough around the edges.
hilarious.
And
That's
and
right. She's rough around
yeah,
the edges.
no,
Yeah,
I'm not.
yeah,
But
yeah.
no, I'm not. But no, but our coaching centers are a little bit different in ways. So,
Oh my gosh,
I do
100%.
yeah, I do a lot of career coaching
Yeah,
and confidence and empowerment and life coaching. She does a lot of parenting stuff. And
exactly.
and I do parenting stuff too, but it's different stuff. And so we have our own platforms we share on each other's and stuff like that. And tell us what you want to know, and we'll
That's
do
right.
reels and stuff like that about that too, because I want to have fun with that. We want to do some together. So
Yep.
we're going to be growing it and having a lot more fun with it. So
Yeah.
I'm excited about that too. And we
So,
need to do a really funny photo shoot. I think we need to do a funny
oh
photo.
my God, it's going to be so fun. So you have, and by you, I mean the listeners, you have from now until the middle of August to go
Yep.
back and catch the F up on all of our initial episodes, our first season, know where we're coming from. Every single episode is timeless. And by that, I mean, you can listen to it now and you can listen to the Pride Month episode now and it won't matter that it's not June, right? For example, like every single episode is timeless. So go listen now. And for those of you who've been alongside us this whole way, we'll wrap it up by just saying thank you. Like, thank you
Yeah.
for giving us your time. Your time is one of, if not your most valuable asset. And the fact that you would, listen while you're walking or listen while you're working or listen while you're driving or whatever you do, like the fact that you would give us that time versus a million other ways that you could spend that time is a true gift to us. So
Yeah.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Final word, Jane.
Final word is I would love to one more thing to add into the next season that I would love to do is I would love to do some book recommendations.
Oh, nice.
I've been doing I started something at work. So I think most people know I work in South Central LA, where all the good rap music's from and everything else, the culture and everything. And so of course Snoop Dogg is from there too, and he talks about the LBC all the time, the Long Beach County and stuff like that. But
Nice.
so I started something at work, and I said, welcome to the LBC. It's a leadership book club. So I want to share that on our podcast too. Whichever book that we're in, I'll be sharing that as well. Right now we're doing the Go Giver, which is the very first book of a series that I really enjoyed and really helped me become a great coach and learn a lot in my professional and personal adult life. And so that's the book that we're reading right now, and we'll share more once we actually crack it open in a couple of weeks. But when we start the next season, but I'd like to do that too, because I think people look for that kind of stuff from people like us. I'm not a huge reader, so it's going
Right.
to force me to read a little bit more, which is
That's
good.
right. Yeah.
And so yeah, so I want to try to incorporate that kind of selfishly, because it's going to help me too, but it
Yeah,
will help
love
other
that.
people out there. So
Well, and like you said, those recommendations are always great to come by. All right, you guys, listen, have a great month to 6 weeks ish. So,
yes,
and look forward to look ahead to season 2. Keep an eye on us. We'll be back soon. Thanks,
yes,
guys.
thanks guys.